So in order to recover from the travesty which was X-Men Origins, Wolverine must travel to the land of the rising sun to learn how to become the Wolverine once again. I'm sold! The Wolverine. Now, in terms of cast, the main member, which I'm sure we all know, is Hugh Jackman, as he reprises his role as Wolverine and is clearly the main standout performance throughout this entire film. Now, the plot line that you need to know going in is this takes place after the events of X-Men 3: The Last Stand, in which Wolverine's a bit depressed and overwhelmed in despair over the death of having to kill Jean Grey after she became the Phoenix. And he's basically just been kind of living as a caveman out in the mountains, kind of just wanting to be alone. And he's been having these nightmares about Jean, and he just doesn't know what to do. He's kind of basically a man on the edge, just wanting to die. However, he's given his opportunity when a soldier that he had saved, a Japanese soldier who he saved during World War II, when the main atomic bomb exploded, asked for him to come back to Japan so he can say his goodbyes. And then that plot line kind of disintegrates and goes into a plot line with this important Japanese family, and apparently some Yakuza are coming out after the new main head of this Japanese family, and Wolverine decides to go out and protect her, but doing so he sort of somehow loses his ability to heal, and so he's in a much more vulnerable state because he now cannot engage standard scenarios like he would in all the previous films. And so he has to understand exactly what is the big conspiracy with this Japanese family and exactly what happened to his powers and how he can get them back. Now, I definitely want to state this right now. The Wolverine is certainly a step up from the previous installment, which was X-Men Origins Wolverine, for many reasons. The main reason being is that this is probably the first X-Men film, for the most part, it doesn't actually feel like a comic book movie. It definitely seems like it's a character study in which you actually get to see a man really on the edge having to deal with the scenario of not being as invulnerable as he's used to, and him having to find ways in order to confront the problems without going, balls to the wall, batshit insane, head-on charge like he usually would. Another thing I liked about this his character was, you do get to see a different side to Wolverine that we really haven't seen in any of the previous films, or at least not seen done well. And I think that's kudos to the main screenplay writer who wrote the dialogue and scenarios that Wolverine is putting in this film. However, towards the second half, that is really where it kind of dissolves into being completely comic book. I mean, that's where you get the whole giant adamantium, samurai who's going to have a boss fight. It feels like a video game. And, this is one thing I want to point out, because it kind of bothered me. I wonder if it bothered any of you out there who saw this film. But there's this woman in the movie called Viper. Not sure if I'm just going crazy, but didn't she remind me or remind any of you of Poison Ivy? I mean, she dresses in green and she kisses people and they kind of die of, poison. So just a little thing I wanted to point out. Another issue I had with this movie is that some of the action scenes aren't really filmed as well as they could have been. Now, there's certainly a lot of great scenes, and there's certainly a great amount of blood, which you will see Wolverine do when he stabs people, which is something that the other Wolverine movies didn't have. But they're filmed in a way where you don't really get to see what he's doing. I mean, he's slashing people, but I'd actually like to see it. And it seems like this is another victim of them trying to push that PG-13 rating as hard as it can without being R. So I only hope that they actually release an unrated version in which we actually get to see all this slashing, which is something I've wanted to see Wolverine do on the big screen for a very long time. But, this is probably the closest we get. Another issue that I had with it is that the middle of the movie kind of slows down a bit too much and kind of drags on with this whole Japanese family conspiracy, and then when you finally find out what the whole thing is about, it's kind of like you spent an hour talking about this when you could have explained this in like 15 minutes, but you dragged it out. It just felt like they could have taken maybe a good 20 minutes off the film and it would have been perfectly paced. As you can tell, I really did enjoy The Wolverine. It's certainly a step in the right direction for the franchise and has finally brought Wolverine back to glory, which is why I'm happy to give the Wolverine a solid B+. And definitely stay after to see the end credits scene, which is a hint of things to come in the next X-Men movie, Days of Futures Past, which I'm absolutely ecstatic to see because it's definitely a fan pleaser. If you like this movie review, please like, comment down below, and please subscribe to track me in my future movie and video game reviews. And like always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.